of these lives that the first few seconds get cut off. So I'm allowing for that, and I think I've sufficiently allowed for it. Hey, everybody, I'm Bob Doyle, one of the featured teachers in the film and book The Secret. And if you are not reaching a goal or some sort of transformational milestone in your life, and it happens repeatedly, I'm going to tell you that one of the main reasons that happens is it comes down to the stories that you are telling yourself. The stories that, and others, the stories that support and validate, quote unquote, why you are where you are in your life. And in extreme cases, why you'll never get any further because there's this and that and them. And all of these things occurred, and therefore you see, I cannot take this step. Oh, I'm trying. Oh, I'm committed, but So there's a big difference between trying and taking action over and over and then having a commitment. Because if your wiring doesn't support you being the person that you need to be to have the change you want in your life and sustain it, then you're not going to have that behavior. You're not going to get those results. And the things that keep people stuck, one of the most frequently, is the stories. Because people freaking love their stories, even though those stories don't make them feel good. Their stories basically talk to their disempowerment and the choice they do not have in their life. Which, again, this is all wiring. And this is why the bulk of my work is about helping people identify wiring like that is running in the background that they don't think of as wiring. They don't think about it as programming. They don't think about it as interpretation. They just see it as the truth. No, you don't understand. I can't. I've tried and I've done all this stuff and I just can't get there. So obviously the universe doesn't want it for me, or I'm not good enough, or whatever. And they tell themselves these stories because somewhere along the line they made the results they got in their journey, in their attempt to be that, the results they got, somehow they made the results mean that they failed. That they interpreted the feedback as negative only and said, oh, well, that hurt a little bit. Well, I'll try again. And instead of taking those things as lessons of here's how to make the adjustment, because this is how we learn everything in our lives, repetition, testing, failing, getting better, adjusting, that's how we do this. But somehow when we're in the personal development conversation, we have a different set of rules and it's supposed to go different. No, you still have to take a journey. And the more willing you are to take that journey, the faster you're going to get there. But you have to let go of stories about why the journey isn't going to work for you anymore. When you imagine the most ideal version of yourself who's got all the stuff, that person, if you really tune into that person, one of the things that's different about them than you today is they're no longer telling that story about why they can't have anything. Obviously, because, see, they've got it. So they had to let go of the story. And that what's happening is those stories, they translate into neural pathways. It's real biology. So they're not just some esoteric things floating around. They're wired in there. So when you go to change your story, you're going to change your brain's wiring. And guess what? That feels uncomfortable. And so people freak out and then they don't do it. So how I can help you is to shed a light on some of the autopilot wiring that you may not know you have, and maybe how you got it, because when you see that, oh, wow, I really was just sort of programmed. This isn't the truth. This is just my wiring. Then you have choice about what do you want to replace those thoughts with? What's a better, more empowered meaning that you could give this situation so that then you could take more empowered action, which is more in alignment with the person you want to be. So how can you learn to do all this stuff? Well, 3 times a week, I give free trainings on this whole thing about brain rewiring, how you got wired in the first place, and to show you what you can do starting immediately to start the rewiring process, but also all the things you need to know about it, the reality check about it, but also just unleash the magnificent reality creation power you have in your brain. This is not a metaphysical or a woo-woo conversation. This is biology. And the first one of these is tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific. Again, you just go to this URL. You can choose the first date of the 3 that you can choose from. I'm doing them 3 times a week. And yes, they are live. They're not pre-recorded, so I will be there every single time to address your specific questions or concerns or whatever it is about your rewiring journey. So I hope to see you at one of these things soon. Tonight would be fantastic. I can't think of a good reason why you wouldn't be.